Hey everyone, this is your host Helene and welcome to today's episode with the Spoonie Diaries Podcast, a podcast about everything chronic illness and disability related.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Spoonie Diaries Podcast. In today's episode, we'll be discussing practical tips and tricks for surviving hospital. This episode is actually very on theme as I'm currently recording this live from my hospital bed. So I do apologize if the sound is not as great as normal. I am literally sitting in my hospital bed reading this from my laptop. So I do apologize. And if you haven't already, I definitely recommend checking out Spoonie Diaries Podcast Instagram as I've been documenting my time here, and it's all saved under the highlight named Ket Infusion as I am currently having a ketamine infusion. So there will be a future episode about my ketamine infusion experience, but for the moment, I wanted to release a podcast that a lot more people can benefit from because I do understand pelvic floor Botox and my intussusception journey isn't applicable to the majority of Spoonies out there, which is why I wanted to make this episode because a lot of us go to hospital and a lot of us go to hospital multiple times a year, really. I thought this was a great episode that I could release, and I'm using my own tips and tricks so I know they work. But yeah, I just thought this was an episode that everybody could benefit from, and yeah, it could just help more people. So what I'll do is I will go through all of my more practical tips, and then I'll go through just some things to keep in mind. And we also have a section at the end where some of our Instagram followers commented some tips as well on our Instagram. I'll be sharing those for everyone as well because I very much want to involve everyone and everyone wants to help each other. It's great. We'll start from the top. This will basically be a list of practical tips and tricks to help you survive in hospital. And it can be for a day procedure, it could be for a week, it could be for a month, it could be surgeries, non-surgeries. It's sort of a general list because I wanted everybody to be able to benefit from it. Let's get into it. So the first one is definitely bring your medication. Bring your medication, all of it, and bring it in the boxes with your name on it. Don't just bring little aluminium foil ones. Make sure it's in the box with your name on it because they'll want to confirm your medications. And if you have any opioid or stronger medications, they'll lock them up for you and definitely need to be in a box with your name. So the second one is know your allergies. So myself, I actually had an anaphylactic reaction to the MMR vaccine when I was a child. Lucky me. But you need to know your allergies. So you need to know if you're anaphylactic. You need to know if you have hives. You need to know if your throat closes over. You need to sort of know your allergies and know your reactions to them. Number 3 is know what procedure or surgery you're having done. That sounds a bit silly and a bit obvious, but truly the nurses are going to ask you multiple times. So make sure you actually know what you're getting done. And it's also in the sense of maybe if you're going public, I know public, the communication can sometimes be a bit wishy-washy. If you're going public, make sure you know what you're having done. Make sure you know exactly to a T what they are doing to you, okay? And the next one is communicate openly with nurses and doctors. So if you're in pain, if you're nauseous, if you're not feeling well, tell them. Don't be scared of them. Don't be scared, oh, I'm in pain. Don't be scared that they're going to view you as a drug seeker, because if you are in hospital and if you're waking up from a surgery and you're in pain, tell them. For the love of God, please tell them, because something could go wrong, something might have gone wrong, and if you're not open about how you're feeling, it's very, very hard for them to help you, and that's what they're there for. They're there to help you. I know there is still a lot of stigma around pain medication, but again, you have the right to seek help and relief for your pain. No one should just live with pain, especially in hospital, right? No one should just suck it up and be in pain, all right? Be honest. They are there to help you, I promise. The next one is, if you're being discharged and you don't feel well, say something. Don't let them push you out of the hospital and push you into a car and go home. If you don't feel well, say, I don't feel well, I don't feel safe going home, I don't feel comfortable going home, I'd like to stay. And majority of the time, they're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. We'll help you, of course. And again, like I said, they're there to help you. So be honest, because you don't want to go home and then something happens and then you got to go back to hospital and then you've got to go for an uncomfortable car ride in agony when you should have just stayed at the hospital, really. And I've definitely learned this lesson myself. My first ever endo lap, I stayed overnight and was like, I'm going home. Absolutely. I just want to be home. Still don't like hospitals, but I didn't like hospitals and I just wanted to go home. And looking back, never should have gone home. I probably should have stayed there like 4 days in hospital. It was insane. I don't know why I wanted to go home so desperately, but obviously hindsight is a great thing. But please, if you don't feel up to it, stay. Just please stay. So the next one this is more for like a longer term stay, but create a bit of a routine. So if you're there for a week, you're there for a month, this may be more applies to like non-surgical stays, like medications or like ketamine infusions, for example. So make a routine, like do your skincare, go down to the cafe, get a coffee. In the afternoon, do walks of the ward. Make a little bit of a routine so it keeps your brain okay. I've definitely found that that's helped me with my little routine in hospital at the moment, and it just helps you get through the day a bit better. So the next one as well is organize visits with friends and family. So before you even go to hospital, try and sort of organize with your friends and families specific days they can visit, so that you maybe have a one person visit every single day. So then you have a visitor every day, rather than having like all of your visitors on the day after your surgery and then you're alone for 5 days after that. Try and plan it in advance, and then when you're recovering or when you're in hospital, then you don't have to stress about organizing for people to come or being like, oh no one's coming. Like now I've got to make the active effort. If you do it beforehand, great. Then it'll work out even better. So the next one this is a personal favorite of mine, but bringing in a stuffed toy or a stuffed animal. So for example, the one that I brought in this time, it is a rainbow octopus, and it is a toy that my fiance won me at Time Zone on the claw machines. I've never been able to win anything from a claw machine, and this is the second toy he's won me, so I'm very privileged. But definitely bring a toy from home. It can be a childhood toy. I know it sounds silly, but I don't really care. I don't care if I'm 30. I don't care if we're adults, all right? Bring something that reminds you of home, something you can cuddle, because unfortunately you're sleeping alone in hospital. That's just the reality of it. And this might sound cliche, but I used to even spray Matt's cologne on my toys when I brought him in, so they don't smell like him, because I miss him, and I'm sure you guys miss home too. And it's just like, yeah, just a little reminder of home. The next one is this. Okay, so maybe this one's my favorite, but bring snacks. Bring as many snacks as you want. Like, you can't go overboard really. What's going to happen? You'll just bring them home and then have them at home. Bring everything. So I have a whole drawer of snacks, and if you've seen my Instagram, you would know I've got protein bars, I've got my FODBOD bars, I've got like TikTok cookies, I've got the fruit chews, I've got everything, like everything you can imagine in that drawer. And my favorite one actually as well, I got this from my friend Steph. Bring tomato sauce into hospital. Do that. So I put that on some of my pies, I put it on some lunch, and then my hot tip, ice magic. Bring it. Because you know that you only ever have vanilla ice cream. So ice magic, game changer. I truly think this hospital visit I've planned so well for it. It's been as enjoyable as it could be. That's all I'll say. But yeah, bring lots of snacks. So at the hospital I'm at as well, there is a little kitchen that the staff and the patients share, and you can actually put all patients' food in the fridge and label it. So I've actually got cheese and salami in the fridge right now, which is phenomenal. So you can even check out that. Maybe see if your hospital has something similar. But yeah, it makes such a difference, truly. It's even offered to bring in some hot meals and put them in the fridge, because there's a microwave in there as well. So check out what your hospital has. I know it's a bit hard to plan for that in advance, but you can check that out on the first or second day you're there. And number 10 is nominate someone to be your carer after surgery. So this could be a parent, a sister, a partner, a brother, a sibling, literally just anybody that you trust. Because if you are having surgery, they legally need someone to pick you up. You can't just get an Uber home, unfortunately. Legally, somebody has to pick you up and stay with you overnight. So make sure that you sign this person before surgery and have it all organized so that you can communicate with them about everything, and you don't have to worry about, again, organizing it while you're in hospital. You can just focus on rest and recovery. And The hospital I'm currently in, this is the first time I've ever had it, but when I arrived at admission, they asked my next of kin, and I gave Matt and his phone number and all of that, and they asked if they could send him text updates with how I'm going, and I was like, absolutely, which is amazing. I've never heard of that. Normally it's just a phone call, like the surgeon calls them, your next of kin, after the surgery to say, yep, like they're all good, blah blah blah. But no, Matt's been getting texts, little updates about how I'm going, which is so cool. So definitely have your person picked out beforehand. So again, yeah, you don't have to worry about it while you're recovering. Which leads a little bit into the next one. Not really, but go for walks around the ward. Obviously, if you've just had surgery and you can't stand up, please ignore this one. This is only for the people who are allowed to walk. Go for a walk around the ward, go down to the cafe, get out of the room. I used to always stay in the room and never leave the room, but yeah, it just makes your day a bit better. Getting out there, having some fresh air even, obviously depending on the hospital, but I was doing laps. I made a friend the other day. We were doing laps of the ward together with our IV poles. So definitely do it. I mean, I say this to my grandma, friends aren't going to come to you. Like, you're going to have to leave the room, unfortunately, to make friends and get out there. So leave the room. And when you are being discharged, make sure that you get a summary of all of the medications they give you, and make sure it tells you how often to take them, how much to take, how long for, all of that sort of stuff. I know some hospitals, the pharmacists will meet you in discharge, or you'll meet them at the pharmacy and be able to grab your meds and they can explain it then. If that doesn't happen for whatever reason, like if they give you the medication on the ward, for example, to take home, make sure you go to your pharmacist and ask them to explain it to you, because you don't want to stuff this up. If I'm honest, you want to make sure that you're taking everything at the right time, right dosage, right everything. So that's another thing. And I honestly would make sure you write it all down. So once you get home, when you take that medication, say like, yes, I've had it on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Yes, I've had it Wednesday at 10 p.m. You know, make sure you write it down, because you just don't want to forget. And the next one is having a trusted friend or family member, or just someone you trust, to drop you off at hospital. Unfortunately, since COVID, a lot of the times you're not allowed to support people with you anymore, even in the waiting areas. Some hospitals, yes, you can have people in the waiting areas, and then some won't even let other people pass the front door, sort of thing. So it is dependent on the hospital, but make sure it's someone you trust. So for example, you don't want a brother that you argue with all the time to drop you off at hospital and have an argument in the car, for example. So then you're stressed going in. You want someone that you trust and that you know will be an easy drive there so that you are more relaxed, because you do not want to make yourself more stressed, because that's just a bit silly, isn't it? And this one is definitely key. So when you are feeling up to it, of course, only when you're feeling up to it, unpack your bags, make yourself comfortable, unpack your pajamas, hang up your clothes, put your snacks in the drawer, make sure you get the room looking a bit nice and a bit more homey. I find that helps so much compared to when you're just living out of a suitcase as well. Like, you want it to just feel, just a bit nicer, especially if you're staying in there for, a week, a month, whatever it is. Obviously, it's a bit different if it's like just an overnight or a day surgery, but this is more, I guess a tip for longer surgeries. And another one that ties into that a little bit is bringing a pillow and a blanket from home. So I normally bring my really nice like memory foam pillow with my silk pillowcase to the hospital, because let's be real, the hospital pillows are a bit shit. So I definitely recommend bringing a good pillow, or one of the U-shaped pillows are amazing too. Or as an extra option, the Slug Lounger pillows, like the microfiber pillows as well. They are phenomenal. And I also brought a cute little blanket. So I bought like a green checkered blanket just to like give it a better sense of home rather than sterile white blankets. I wanted to spice up my room, make it feel a bit more like me. And I also brought maybe a bit too much skincare, but I mean, I don't think the limit exists, but I brought all of my skincare. I bought under eye patches. I bought my LED mask. I bought some sheet masks, anything you can think of, because you're going to have the time to do it. So why not treat yourself? Why not make skin look nice? It doesn't have to be expensive. You can just go to Priceline or something, grab something cheap for my Australian listeners, but definitely bring something to treat yourself. Or this could even be if you want to paint your nails, you could bring like a nail kit, anything, truly anything, just to make you, feel a bit better and do some self-care. And this next tip is, of course, only if you're up for it and able to. But if you can, I definitely recommend having a shower every day. Even if you feel like shit, even if you're just like, what's the point? I haven't done anything. Have a shower. And if you aren't feeling up to it, I'm sure they have shower chairs available. I actually have a shower chair at home for this exact reason. So ask for a shower chair. There's no shame in asking for mobility aids, and sit your ass on the chair and enjoy the water. Unfortunately, most hospitals, I don't think any hospitals have baths, so this is sort of like the next best thing. But I definitely recommend having a shower, making yourself feel a bit better, especially like straight after surgery or procedures or anything like that. And this next one is, the ultimate one, but bringing activities. So if you're listening and you know me, then you know I like Lego. I love Lego. Love it. So I bought 2 of the new Lego pieces into hospital with me. I brought the chrysanthemum and the plum one, I think it is. And I built them, and now they're sitting nice and pretty in my hospital room, just keeping me company and making it feel a little bit like home. So I've put them next to my flowers, and they all blend in and they're all looking beautiful. So that's just one thing I love, but you could also bring in a coloring book, paint by numbers. You could bring in puzzles, truly anything if you want to, anything that will keep your mind busy. And a little hack as well for all of my Lego friends out there, because I know there's a lot of you. Kmart in Australia has knockoff Lego, and it is pretty damn good. So normally a Lego might take me less than a day, right? But these Kmart Legos are like $10 and they take 4 days to do. So it's so cost effective. It's insane. So I definitely recommend checking out Kmart for all of my Lego lovers. I know they're knockoffs, but who cares? In this cost of living crisis, they'll still look just as good. And so the next little section is things to keep in mind or things to ask. When you're in hospital and when you leave hospital, make sure you ask the dosages of your medications. Even in hospital, confirm with the nurses. If you take, for example, Panadol, make sure, it's 2 Panadol? Yep. It's 100 milligrams, as an example. Yes, great. Because there have been instances where nurses have given wrong medications to the wrong people, wrong dosages, wrong times, all of that. So be in charge. Obviously, this is only if you're up for it, of course. If you're hearing enough and well enough. Make sure you're all on the same page, helping each other out. I love to, and the nurses getting my medications from my top drawer. I'm sure my Spoonies know medications go in the top drawer. Just point out which one it is, because I have over 10 in there, and they're not going to try and read every box to try and figure out which one it is. So I just sort of help them like, yep, it's that one. And then you both know, what you're taking, and they know what you're taking, obviously, but you're both on the same page and there's no misunderstandings and nothing can go wrong that way. And the next one as well, I did touch on this a little bit before, but if you need a mobility aid, say something, speak up. There is absolutely no shame in needing help. There is no shame in needing a mobility aid at all, whether you're in hospital or at home. It's there to help, truly. It's there to help. Who cares? Because it's helping. And like I said, I have a shower chair at home. It's a little stool. Life-changing. I used to hate having fucking long showers, feeling like I'm going to pass out. My legs hurt, my feet hurt. Like I would just be in agony. Shower chair, great. I can sit down, I can relax, I can take my time because I'm not in as much pain and it's helping me out. And there's no shame, truly. It's there to help. So why wouldn't you do it? Why not? And the next one is, another thing to keep in mind is as looking after your nurses. So if you're nice to your nurses, if you're considerate, say please and thank you and all of that sort of stuff, they're going to look after you. They're going to help you out. If you're in pain and your pain medication isn't due for another few hours or something, they're going to often call the doctor. They're going to help. They're going to go that extra mile, okay? But if you're rude, dismissive, or just you have an attitude, they're not going to really want to help you that much, and it's going to make your time in hospital incredibly unpleasant. So I always make sure, say thank you, say please. I like to normally have a conversation with them because it can get a bit lonely in hospital. So I normally like to have a conversation. You can start with things like, how long have you been a nurse for? Oh, do you enjoy working here? Touch on that. Or if they've got cool scrubs on, you can touch on that. Or if they've got tattoos, you can compliment them. There's so many avenues. And then it's sort of like, not that you have like a friend, but you have someone that you have a good rapport with. And I think that does make the difference, honestly. Because if you have shitty nurses, and I've had shitty nurses, and I'm sure everyone has had at least one shitty nurse, it can really make or break your day or your whole hospital stay. Because if you don't like your nurse and they're rude to you and they're treating you badly and all of that, it can spiral so quickly. So if you are on the front foot and you're nice and courteous and, all of that, it will help and make your time a little bit easier. In saying that, you should always be nice and courteous to everybody, but especially in hospital, because the nurses are the ones looking after you, not the doctors, the nurses. The nurses are the ones that look after you all day, every day, help you with your catheter, help you with your infusions, help you go to the bathroom, help you with your medications, help you with everything, not the doctors. So the nurses are your best friends, truly. So always be nice to them. And so that is the list of all of my tips and tricks. And what I might read out to you is, so last week on Instagram, I posted a little question box for people to put their own tips and tricks for surviving hospital so that I could read it on this podcast. And there's some really, really good tips in here. Some I've said myself, but I will let you know anyways. So the first one is loop earbuds. So I actually have a pair of these myself, but they are basically noise cancelling earbuds, definitely to help you sleep. I sleep with my AirPods in, which I probably shouldn't, but it does get quite noisy in hospital. There's machines beeping. The nurses are obviously awake 24/7. Emergencies can happen at any moment. So they definitely help. And the next one is a long charging cord. So for your laptop or your phone, that game changer, truly, definitely helps, because sometimes you want to walk around, sometimes the PowerPoint might be on the other side of the room, just a bit handy. And especially in ED, I feel like in ED you definitely need like long charging cords. And this is a good one, lip balm. Hospitals are notorious for being dry because of the aircon, so definitely bring lip balm. Also bring moisturizer. I know I touched on the skincare before, but also bring moisturizer. This is a good one. The next one is a heat pack. Definitely bring a heat pack. Definitely. I know some hospitals can be a bit funny about like Lupin or wheat ones and about them reheating it for you. Some of them won't allow. Some hospitals do allow you to heat your own heat pack. It sort of is individual. This time around, I actually brought my hot pot so that I could just charge it in my room myself and I didn't have to bother the nurses. But bringing some sort of heat therapy is definitely an amazing idea. And leading on to that is button-down pajamas. So this is such a good one. So when you have cannulas or PICC lines or cords, whatever, button-down pajamas are so much easier and so much handier than like over-the-top like dresses or t-shirts. So I definitely would recommend this beautiful person's tip. Definitely recommend button-up pajamas. And if you've been following along, actually on this podcast cover is one of my favorite set of PJs, which are my pink Skims PJs, and I actually recently bought a black set, which I've worn to hospital too. So I love Skims PJs. Actually, I lied. I bought 3 pairs to hospital. And Qantas pajamas as well. Those are the other ones. Qantas pajamas are so comfy, but they unfortunately are not button-up ones. Okay, I can't believe we have gone through all of these tips and tricks for my practical guide for surviving hospital. I believe there were so many, but I just wanted to thank everybody for listening and supporting this podcast. I can't even believe that this is the 3rd episode and that I'm also recording it from hospital. So again, I do apologize because I know there was a little bit of beeping in the back. So I hope you can hear me clearly enough. I hope you can find value and some educational content listening to this podcast and know that you're not alone dealing with your chronic health issues. I'm sitting here in hospital recording this podcast, and if you're in hospital listening to this podcast, I hope you know you're not alone and we're all in this together, because I don't think I'd get through it without even just the community that I've created through this podcast. It's even helped me with my hospital admission, so I hope it can help you with your hospital admission. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and we do have a Facebook community for the podcast, and it has already started. But if you'd like to join, there is a link on the Instagram, or if you just search us on Facebook, the Spoonie Diaries Podcast community, you'll definitely be able to find it. But I'm hoping that we can turn it into some way where people can make friends, relate to one another, help each other out, because truly community is what helps us. And I know other Spoonies can probably relate to this, but people that aren't sick just don't understand how incredibly isolating it can be, especially in hospital, especially at home. If you're home alone all day, every day, it can be incredibly isolating. And that's another reason I started this podcast. So, and my next episode, I do have an exciting guest coming on, and I know that you will all be so interested in hearing their story. But until then, I would really appreciate it if you can leave a review on whatever platform you're listening to, or follow us on social media, and I'm wishing everyone a symptom-free day. Thanks!